Grab your swim trunks, Wargamers, because today we are back on the beach. But today we are talking about two very excellent miniature rule game sets. One is called Void Pirates, the other is called 5-Core. Now, this is actually FiveParsecs From Home, and these are not going to be proper reviews, largely because I haven't properly played Void Pirates yet, and because I haven't played 5-Parsecs From Home in probably about 10 years. But we're going to do something a little special today, because we're going to talk about how you can combine rule sets to make something that's better than either of the individual products. Let's get started. The reason we're going to talk about Void Pirates first is because the mechanics of my next video are going to be used. It'll be a skirmish game set in Astra Tortuga, my space station terrain. And I'm going to use the Void Pirates mechanics for the game. And Void Pirates uses, well, it's a sci-fi skirmish game by 4-Color Studios. And it uses the goal system, which is very simple. When you want to do something, you roll 4d6, and then you count the goals. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you get 1 goal. If you roll a 6, you get 2. That's all there is to it. On an unopposed roll, you face a toughness number. With an average task would require 2 successes. An easy task would require 1. A difficult 3 and a darn near impossible 1 would require 4 successes. On opposed rolls, for example, combat. If 2 figures are locked in melee, they'll both roll 4d6, count the successes. The difference is the amount of damage that the winner does to the loser. Standard figures have 3 vitality points, so if you can beat the other guy by 3 goals, you just knocked him out. There's a little more to it than that. I'm not going to get too deep into the mechanics today because I've got something better to talk about. But that's the gist of the game. This book is a wonderful book. I really like the artwork, and I like the default assumption of a very adventurous universe where you've got, tentacled aliens, you've got guys using swords, charging guys firing guns, plenty of equipment, plenty of inspiration. Fantastic little rule set. Once you get through the generic setup. I mean, if you had 5 guys on each side and all they ever did was roll 4d6, that could get pretty boring. So what you wind up doing is adding special abilities. Maybe you have a shooter who adds 2d6 on his attack rolls when he's firing at somebody. Maybe you have a brawler who rolls 2 extra dice when he's in melee. Then you can add equipment. Maybe you've got a knife, and it lets you re-roll one of your attack dice in melee, or a pistol that lets you re-roll a shooty die. I think the ranges default in this rule set to 30 centimeters. After 30 centimeters, I think you lose a D off of your attack, unless you've got the long range, in which case not only do you not lose that die because of the distance, but you have 1 die re-roll. Or a sharpshooter who ignores cover, right? If a guy's behind cover. So one of the nice things about this rule set is that everything is pretty self-explanatory. You don't have to remember a whole lot because the core is so simple that, well, I'll give you another example. If you have a guy whose special ability is he's got armor, well, the figure is going to have armor, and you'll remember, oh, hey, you know what? When I'm attacked whenever I'm attacked, I get to re-roll one of my defense dice. If it's heavy armor, I get to roll 2. If it's like a battle suit of armor, maybe I lose 2 off of my movement. Maybe I'm slower. Again, they use centimeters in this game, and then they say double everything if you're using 28 millimeter figures. Who wrote this thing? Who wrote this? Who's responsible? Scott Pyle. You're an American. You live in the Midwest. What are you using centimeters for? You got to use a manly measurement like inches. But I mean, we'll go for it. We'll use the centimeters. Specifically because my terrain is small enough it can handle it. what was I saying? Oh, yeah, so if you have really heavy armor, maybe you add 2 dice to your defense rolls, but instead of moving 6 centimeters, you only move 4 centimeters. Well, it's easy to remember. Oh, yeah, that big bulky guy, he's going to be slower than the other guy. So I'm hoping, once you add up all those special rules, it might be a little hard to remember them all when you're juggling 5 or 6 different dudes on each side. I'm hoping that just the visual and understanding who they are, it'll all kind of flow naturally into place. I want to go back to one of the nice things about this rule set, and that's that it is so evocative. When you purchase your boys, you have your choice between heroes. And they say, well, yeah, I mean, hero is the generic default, but your hero might be a stalker from beyond the stars, might be a cosmic chosen one. You might, so for example, if you use a well-known trope, well, not so well-known because I can't remember who it is. Oh, Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's a hero, right? He's the son of a literal false god. They're worth 20 points. They get a bunch of special abilities. A lurker. I don't even need to tell you what that is. You know what a lurker is. He's an infiltrator, right? And they say, well, what if he's an acolyte of the Nimba cult? Or a hatchling of the skittering host? You're not going to call him a lurker. Lurkers are a dime a dozen. Hatchlings of the skittering host. That's evocative. You've got your shooters who just get an extra 2 dice on their shooting. Thugs are the same thing but with melee. Specialists get a lot of extra skills. Everybody gets 1 skill. But if you are a mentat calculator, and as you'll see in my game, my specialist is a technician, including a wet tech. I have a combination medic and hacker. And then you've got your basic troopers. These guys, yeah, Starmark, they're just your thugs. They're your basic red shirts. Pick special traits, and, these all work fantastic. If you're brute, super strong. Most of these are once per game deals. One of my characters has speed, so you get like a one-time speed boost that she can move 30 centimeters in a single round instead of her standard 2. 2-gun mojo if you've got a brace of pistols. Once per game, so the mechanics here, 2D means you roll 2 extra dice. And the 2 in brackets means after you're done with your roll, you can do 2 rerolls. Once per game, use this ability against a single target, or you can shoot 2 targets within 6 centimeters of each other at 1D with 1 reroll. Chance roll, 3+. Now, you only get to use this once per game, kind of. After you use it, make a chance roll. You roll 2D6. And if you get 3 successes, hey, you can use it again. Oh, man, one more thing to keep track of. This is why I only have 4 guys. I get a little leery of having too much to keep track of. And then you get to pick 1 boost. You can do an attack or defense or to your non-combat. And these can even come into play in a campaign game when it comes time for survival. Like I said, you have 3 hit points. And if you get reduced to 0, there's a chance you get knocked out, which means you just lay down. And you can survive the game uninjured. Or you can get completely wiped out. If your character is knocked out and somebody runs up and bonks them on the head, then they're going to have to make a survival check after the game to see what really happened to them. Moving into equipment, like I said, power armor gives you +1 die with 3 rerolls. Whoo, on defense checks, that's pretty good. But it slows you down. Body shields are rare. They take 2 slots. What else we got here? Pistol gives you reroll on range combat, just like I said earlier. So, by the time you work your way through all of this, you've got a tight little system. Charging is how you move into movement. You move into combat. No real surprises here. And then we get into, specific character examples, how to set up battles, so on. That's enough for the Void Pirates. You get the idea. Oh, hey, yeah, I'm wearing shorts today. It's comfy. I'm at the beach. Sue me. So that's the mechanics of the battle that we're going to fight in Tortuga Astra. Before we get to the actual characters of my scruffy-looking nerd herder and his crew, I want to talk about the setting and how I decided who was going to be fighting. I started off very simple. I want to do the crew of a tramp freighter getting involved with bounty hunters or some kind of organized resistance in the Tortugastra. That's all I knew. As far as the specifics go, rather than take the lazy route and just say, oh, it's Firefly, but with Imperial Stormtroopers. That's not how we roll at the Joy of Wargaming. The way we roll is by rolling. And that's where 5 Parsecs From Home comes in. Before we get too deep into 5 Parsecs From Home, we need to talk about the 5-core skirmish system. Because 5 Parsecs is actually a flavor module bolted onto a fairly generic skirmish system. Ivan Sorensen developed 5 Men in Normandy as a simple 5-on-5 skirmish system for World War II battles, specifically to take to conventions to fight out battles in part of the invasion of Normandy. Since then, he has developed a bookshelf of additional titles that you can purchase to expand on that idea. I've only got the 5 Parsecs From Home, and I don't want to talk too much about the mechanics, but I did want to warn you. So what I did is I bought the PDF of both the science fiction and the 5-core system. So these are the actual mechanics of 5-core, and it's a fun little skirmish system. I played it once a long time ago, but my regular opponent wasn't too interested. He didn't have a good time with it, so we kind of set it aside. As you can see, it's only 25 pages, and in fact, you know, most of that is kind of campaign stuff. I got to warn you, I don't even know if the first edition of 5-core skirmish is available still. I believe that Ivan has expanded and revised it. I looked into it a few weeks ago, and it looked very similar to many other products on the market. I want to give the 5-core skirmish system another try in the future, but that's not what we're talking about today. We'll cover the mechanics of 5-core later. I want to talk about 5 Parsecs From Home because this is such a fun product. It captures the Traveler-esque universe and helps you apply that as a skin to your war game. Let me show you how. And this is what I did to prep my Void Pirates skirmish game that will feature in the next video. His background is called Under Distant Stars, and it's a glorious hodgepodge of ideas taken from a lot of different inspirational sources. Specifically, I want to look at character creation and how you develop characters for science fiction skirmish. 4 steps to creating a character. Those are origin, motivation, class, and special circumstances. And in fine Traveler format, you roll a D100 for each of those traits. And you might get something. So for origin, you might get that this character is from a research outpost. An isolationist enclave. My kind of people. For motivation, what is driving your character? You want to get rich? Are you searching for the capital T truth? You just want to have adventure? And then we look at the character class. Is it a working stiff? Is it a technician? Do we have an enforcer, troubleshooter, bounty hunter? And each of these can be used with the 5-core system. However, it's fairly easy to port it over to something like Void Pirates. Special circumstances. This is kind of the wild card. Genetic renegade. Illegal cosmetic genetic manipulation is all the rage. Characters may sport purple skin, gleaming red eyes, or cat ears. Somebody get Nick Fuentes on the phone. True believer. This is a fanatic, right? Immediately move. If a bail result is applied, immediately move 6 inches towards the nearest enemy and attempt to initiate a brawl. Well, what does that mean for your rule set? That's a good question. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I went through this process for all 4 of my characters, and I came up with 4 characters that are far more interesting, by trying to reconcile these strange results. And I think you'll find that I have kind of an interesting and unique crew. Talents are just what it says, right? What are you really good at? Shoot and scoot. Intrusion, once per game, get a free hack for free. I don't know what that means. But you know what intrusion means? And we can find a way to make intrusion work in our Void Pirates game. Roll for psionic abilities. I didn't do that. It doesn't fit what I'm trying to do right now. Roll for weapons. I didn't do that. See, I'm picking and choosing. I am a chef who adds spices as he sees fit and builds games to taste. I am not a fast food consumer. There's nothing wrong with fast food. I like a good McDonald's burger as much as the next guy. All right, maybe not McDonald's, but you get my point. No judging. I'm just telling you, I'm a gourmet cook. And this is the ingredients. This is one of the ingredients that I'm using to prepare a gourmet meal that I'll be sharing with you in the next video. Armory, friendship, and rivalry. Kind of skip past that. What I wanted to get to is, yeah, I got a couple of character flaws, right? Is he slow? Yeah, so I rolled slow. And I was like, oh, okay, good. That works with some of the other rolls that I made. Stand-up fight scenarios, campaigns. Here we go, campaigns. And this is what we're really kind of looking for. The campaign has a turn sequence that you roll through. But what I was really looking for is, an excuse to throw these people together. And so, when it comes to something like this, oh, who's your patron? Right? Is it a mercenary outfit? Is it an explorer that wants you to go find things? Is it a local militia that wants you to help keep order? What kind of job do they want? So, we'll get to the results in just a minute. Trade. Did I use this? No. I did roll for the kind of ship that we've got, which I think is in here somewhere too. Assigning missions, loot. I might have blown past it. I feel like I did. Missions and enemies. I did roll on this. It turns out our boys' enemies are a mercenary outfit. Bounty hunters. All right. Oh, add D3 goons. Oh, okay. That's good to know. I can add goons to my opponents. In fact, Void Pirates has goons as one of the character classes. They're the cheapest class you can get. Fun stuff. So let's take a look at what I rolled up. Then, after going through this kind of campaign and inspirational process, so what did I roll up? Well, my leader is an isolationist who, from a survival enclave, is a bit of a scoundrel, and he's a warbot? What? How do you reconcile all of this? Well, I'm already getting a picture of a warbot who had the sheer audacity to become autonomous, to develop a conscience, and to run away from his job protecting a group of survivalists. He stole one of their transports and fled off into the fringe, that hazy, nebulous kind of Casablanca-esque part of every good sci-fi universe where it's a neutral zone for all of the general powers, and the law is more of a set of guidelines. The next guy that I rolled up was a bureaucrat who just wants love. It is a reclaimer, so this character, it's a she in this case, is looking for her love, and she grew up, or her skills are as a reclaimer, so she's a bit of a, maybe a Mad Max type, right? She specializes in going to worlds that have fallen for one reason or another. She's quick and an infiltrator. These are my roles using the 5-course system. Our third character is a miner. He's a fugitive. Oh, so he was a slave in the mines who got away. He's making his way as a bounty hunter, so he's got armor. Good to know. And then our last one is a military brat who just wants power. He's a mercenary. So what we've got here are two guys that have hooked up with our warbot, who's just looking to make his way through the universe. But they're all basically self-interested mercenaries who have a real reason to not pay a whole lot of attention to the law. And our military brat is a bit abrasive. I don't know what that means, but it's going to come up. I rolled up a merchant cruiser. They all met in a bar. Classic. and their patron is an Imperial agent. Huh. Well, that's interesting. And they want to find someone, and their enemy is a mercenary group. And then the last thing I did was I checked for the mission, which is Heated Words. Smarter man than I would have been ready for this. I really like... Okay. I really like the description here. You run into the enemy leader, and attempts to resolve the situation diplomatically are deteriorating. Then again, fringe diplomacy is slang for gun battle. So what did you expect to happen? Set up the terrain. Each side selects a leader, places them in the center, exactly 6 inches apart from each other. That's what we're going to be doing. And then you set the other figures up, blah, 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 blah. So it's a little more involved than a simple line them up and charge at each other. That's where we're going with this. The enemy, as I said, is a mercenary group. I've decided to use my Pelagians. They have a uniform and such, and there's going to be 6 of those guys. Now it's time to circle back around to Le Pirates de la Void for our game of 5 Void Parsec Pirates. Let's see what all that translates to. We've got Lieutenant Shark. Oh, this is the bad guys. Sergeant Shark and Troopers. I got 4 of these guys. No worries. Far more interesting to talk about the crew of our spaceship. Cobalt 15 is a warbot fugitive. He gets, because he's a hero, he gets extra fate dice. I gotta look up what that is. He gets extra initiative because he's a leader. He's a loner, so he can get a second activation when he's alone. He's got 2-gun mojo. He's got extra vitality. He's got tough attack. I mean, heroes they cost 4 times as much as a goon, because in fine Gygaxian manner, a hero is worth 4 regular dudes. He also has Iron Fists, which gives him a melee weapon. And then we've got our technician, Marion Dupree, who is a librarian, or a specialist. Remember, this is our reclaimer in 5 core terms. She is a specialist in Void Pirate terms. She's lucky. She gets 1 reroll every turn. She's quick. Like I said earlier in the video, she gets to move 30 centimeters. She is a savant. So she gets a +2 whenever she's doing any kind of scientific or research, or when she's hacking something. So if it comes up that they need to steal, if they run through a mission where they need to steal data, she's going to be the one you want to send into the server room. She's pretty tough. She's got a pretty good defense. And then she's got a med kit, 4D versus a toughness of 3. If she can do that, she heals a vitality point for every success over 3, I think. And she's got a scanner, so it's easier for her to spot hidden and open doors. What was it in, I'm losing track of all my paperwork here. Our military brat is Lieutenant Dane. He's a shooter. He's got a distance weapon. He's lucky. He has normal vitality. He's got a rifle. Gives him 3 rerolls. And when he's ranged, he's also got light armor, so he gets a reroll on defense. And then Rusty is our brawler, slave of the rust mines. He was confined to mining rust. Can you imagine anything more humiliating than mining? And like I said, he's a brawler. Once per game, he can use a killing blow, which means you don't even roll to attack. You make your, I think it's something along the lines of, you make a chance roll, and you can kill the guy outright. He's a survivor, so he's got a non-combat boost, meaning in the post-game survival rolls, he does better. And then he's just got a blade and a pistol. And because he grew up in the rust mines, he's got a rebreather. That's reflected in the figure, which I'll show you in the next video. The figure is wearing goggles and a face mask. The figure is wearing a face mask. I'll let you plug your own current event joke in there. But you can see it on the figure, so it's easy to remember. WYSIWYG is your friend in a game where you've got all of these special rules to remember for all 4 of your models. As I said, they're going to be opposed by a mercenary unit that has a bounty. They're seeking the bounty on Cobalt 15's metallic skull. They're led by a lieutenant who's a thug, not a leader, just a brawler, but he does have a big-ass gun. And he's got a scanner, and then the second in command is a sergeant who's a shooter, and then the rest of these guys are just very basic mooks. I figure with 10 guys on the board, 6 versus 4 is a nice little setup, and I'm really looking forward to sharing this game with you. But in the meantime, it was a lot of fun bouncing back and forth between these two rule sets, plugging them together in a new and unusual way, and coming up with something that is far greater than the sum of its parts. And hopefully, as I bumble through my first ever game of Void Pirates, you'll be able to have as much fun as I do. Until next time, God bless you.